Grace and peace. This is your brother Everett Gillamel from IGOPE, your Christ coach, motivational speaker, and inspirational teacher, transitional coach. I'm coming to you in regards to a scripture that I want to bring across to you from Mark chapter 6. And it says, "A prophet is without honor everywhere except in his own hometown and among his relatives and his own family. And because of their unbelief, he couldn't do any miracles amongst them except to place his hands on a few sick and heal them." This scripture is talking about Jesus, Yeshua. And it talks about that when he came to do a work for God, because of familiarity, because of what people was expecting, they had an unbelief in who he showed up and appeared to be. There was a question that came and says, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Well, a lot of us have been asked that same question. Can anything good come out of the hood? Can anything good come out of the projects? Can anything good come out of that family? Because they were familiar with how jacked up your family was, because they were familiar of how you were such a failure in your past. But the thing is, when you begin to become in the image and after the likeness of God, then people are not going to always adjust. You know, I remember one time when I was getting my eyes exam, I remember them saying, you know, adjust to the graphic that's going to be before you, because they're trying to basically see what your eye strength is like. And it comes to, and that's just the same way when it comes to people viewing you, people seeing you. You know, I remember Lauryn Hill said that, you know, on her her video, she said on one of her videos, she said, this is the first time you meeting me." And these were people who already knew her for so long. And why did she say that this is the first time you meet me? Because there was a change in her. And what happened was, who she used to be, the way she used to talk, or maybe some of the statements that she made, people couldn't see that even in a statement that she made, there's something different that may appear. See, when we're walking in God, when we're walking as disciples, there are going to be things and there are going to be times that we're going to do things that may seem totally contradictory. Well, like I said, in the scriptures, there's things that God says to do in one aspect, and then in another aspect, he says not to do. Does that mean that he's a contradicting God? No. It means that at the appropriate time or at the given moment, then there are things dispensationally that will happen. Meaning that what was supposed to be said to one group of people and the demonstration how it was to come about is totally different when you get around another group of people. Does that mean that you're changing, or no? It means that for every situation, the circumstances that are going to manifest not going to always appear to be the same. You may say that, hey, in my plans, I may not do something, but God may have totally different plans. And that's why he says my thoughts are not your thoughts. So we can't put a stipulation and predict what we think God should do, how he should do it, and how he is to function in us. In the concept and the precept of that, it says here, during Jesus' visit to his hometown, he was looked upon as a mere man. Some of us are looked upon as a mere man in our households, our family members. When we change our life, when we begin to talk different, when we begin to be transparent and say certain things that we will not do, then there comes a time that God will put you in a place and have you totally do that which you said you wasn't going to do. Does that make you a contradictor person? No. Does that make you a person out of your word? No. It's that when you move in with the Spirit of God, you can't predict the outcome. You can't predict how a certain situation is going to pan out. You can't predict. You can assume and you can attempt, but who controls the Spirit? The Spirit of God is like the wind. Nobody can control the Spirit. Nobody can control when the prophets of old talked or they came to bring the word to the people. Nobody can expect that it will be a great outcome. Nobody would expect that this prophet will come saying the things that they wanted to hear. And that's because not even a prophet can expect what he's going to do. because he's a sent person with a message. He's a sent person with a demonstration. When David came into the town and he began to dance out his clothes, people thought he was crazy. They looked at him strange. Why? Because it was something unfamiliar that they was not used to. They was not used to this man of God acting like this. But he was the friend of God. He was one who heard God. He was one of God's truest men. He was a king for God. And he was jacked up. Most people would have looked at him like, I don't expect God to use him. Again, the same way the people were so unfamiliar with how Jesus came in his own hometown, they just could not receive the blessing because they were looking for something that they were familiar with. Again, it goes on to say, he was looked upon as a mere man, a carpenter. Joseph has kept Jesus from doing a more extensive ministry in Nazareth. So unfortunately, the people of Nazareth, their familiarity with Jesus bred contempt. So people are going to get upset because what they were expecting from you, what they were expecting you to say, what they were expecting you to be, and you come and you totally be something totally different at that moment because you're a spirit-led, it brings contempt. People begin to be frustrated because you broke their familiarity. You broke their expectation of what they thought. And that's the thing. Never be expecting of something other than what God promised you. Okay, so I'm going to end that here. And until we meet again, this is your Christ coach of Agape, Brother Everett Gillimel. Talk to you soon. Peace.